Possum here. Welcome to Possum's Ride. We're going to do something a little different today. I'm going to start at the request of a friend and the daughter of a friend. She asked me to make her a hat. I'll post a picture of the finished project before we begin. But the hat is, this friend is into steampunk, and I do, as a hobby, I do leathercraft, and so I agreed to make her a hat. And now the patterns are being provided by, or I purchased from a guy goes name of DeiselPunk.ro. I'll put his information in below. But his name is Tony. Shouts out to him. Now when you print out your patterns, you go to his website, you print out his patterns, and you'll see this square. Make sure that it does in fact measure 2-inch square for the rest of the pattern to be correct, or 50 centimeters or 5 centimeters or 50 millimeters. But I print mine out on cardstock so that it's a little stiffer, a little easier to work with than just plain paper stock. But and then shout out to Wes. I'll put their information down below also. If you're in the Chapman or Seymour, Tennessee area on Chapman Highway is Zippy Prints. Go in and see Wes Bates, and I will post their information also down below. So anyway, shout outs to all of them. And the dye of her hat will be black with red thread, and be black, but then the underside of the brim will be red. Then, like I say, the red thread, and then I still have to see if I can find some red ribbon stock, which I'm sure I can get from Walmart or whomever. Don't much matter. So, all right, let's get started. Now, for leather stock, you're going to need 4 to 6 square feet, depending on how careful you are in cutting, of 4 to 5 ounce leather. You know, it's not real heavy, but it's heavy enough to offer some body, you know. This is just scrap piece, but you can see there, it's I don't know what metric it is, but it's, you know, strong 1/16 of an inch thick, if not a little thicker. But just go in. I buy all my stuff from Tandy Leather. I'm getting no money from any of these people. I buy all my stuff. But if you've got a Tandy Leather near you, just go into them, ask for some 4 to 5 ounce chrome tanned leather. That's the stuff that's going to work best for you. So, alright, let's get going. Now, in these patterns, she measured her head and she got 22.5 inches. So I'm using, within this pattern set, that falls in the category of medium. Now, within the medium in his pattern, get 57 centimeters or 58 centimeters. 57 centimeters measures out to 22.4 centimeters. So with it being going on a female and so on, with the extra hair and such, I'm gonna make hers the 58 centimeters, which is 22.8. It should fit her better, I'm thinking, with, like I say, with the extra hair, depending on how she wears it and so on, without it being too big. So anyway, first step is to pull your prints out. We've already done that one. This is the assembly diagram of the, or not diagram, but of the pieces that you'll need to cut. You know, from each of these, you know, we've got the patterns, and we will cut them free of the stock and so on. And then each of these holes, or each of these dots here, is where we are going to have to punch out later as we go. And then just keep right on going through and get all your pieces cut first. Now all of these will be rough cuts at first. We won't worry about cutting to the lines yet. This is just to get rid of all the excess paper. Put that one aside. Garbage. Don't need that no more. Then you just grab the next sheet of paper and keep right on cutting. Now these here we're going to do a little different. From having done this pattern before, and then I saw it on another project that Tony had done, where he took these straps and extended one end. Reason for that, these straps go around the brim of the hat to finish it off, and I wasn't crazy about, you know, on the first one that I did, I wasn't crazy about it. So, and I saw on his where one, he extended the end, flared it slightly, then punched more holes to fold it around to where this end overlapped this end. I kind of like that. So we'll see how it goes. I'll just, like I said, get this cut out. DeiselPunk.ro. I should have a proper cutting board, but I don't as of yet, but I will. Let's divide this down. See, now how this will go eventually is this will be attached to that one, and this one attached to this one, and everybody happy. Happy, happy, happy. But like I said, I'm going to take and join these later. I'll show you. I'll show you. I won't leave you hanging. So, like I say, we'll just keep Just keep cutting here. And keep it chugging along. Just keep right on a cutting. I don't have a camera to put overhead and all that like all these fancy channels have. I'm just a little hillbilly stuck in the woods. just trying to keep busy. Let me know if you like this sort of thing, and I will make more of them. You know, remember to like, share, hit the little dinger down below there if you want to be notified of more projects. There's nothing, one thing that I find well, there's some things I don't find interesting. Anyway, I've got a very eclectic interest. Yeah, I got to get me a cutting board so I'd have a little bigger surface to work on. Real quick, I'll join these. What Tony does, which is where I got the idea. Lay your masking tape down there. Lay your piece up there. Now your second piece, it makes it real easy to line, easier to line up your lines where they need to be to keep that seam tight, and press her down. Now what I did is I put, you'll see here there's an extra little mark here. The purpose for that is to show where this joint is, you know, because at a later date that will become important. You know, when you're attaching the bands, you know, if you do it in the two piece, this piece and this piece, it'll join here, and that'll tell you where your center mark is, so it's not skewed this way or this way. So we'll just keep moving forward. And this piece goes here, and this piece goes here. We'll tape that all up. Okay, there, as you can see, there's all the pieces. You know, little one. It doesn't have to be taped up 100%, just as long as it holds the pattern in place, while all the punching and everything else has to get done. Here, as I said, I've left a little extra leather here. I might play with that later on. And then here, you know, be careful on spots like this here where I overlapped the tape. It's not horrible, you know, it's just you're going to get more tape of the gumminess from the tape up into your punch. Get everything nice and tight. I've I use, and so does Tony, you know, just plain Jane masking tape, because as you can see here, you can see through the tape, so you can, it holds it down and you can see, so you can punch it out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some, I'm going to find it here, a real cheap wax candle. I'm going to use that there to, you know, you take a little and you smear it on there. Smear it over, because that's going to help keep your punch from plugging up and being a royal pain in the tush. So, alright, I'll get back to you when I get ready here. I gotta get my punch picked and so on. Okay, I'll get back. And here's another little trick that Tony showed in one of his videos, but it's not shown often. Take some candle wax and smear it over the top of where you're going to be perforating holes. This will lubricate your punch and stop those little plugs from getting stuck inside your punch. You know, you can see it here, kinda, I hope you can, where the little plugs of leather and such are stuck in there. See, they just stack up in there and they plug up your punch, making it progressively harder and harder to get these out, and harder and harder for the punch to punch the leather. So keep that in mind. And now the monotonous part begins. Punching out all these little holes. Just take your time. Getting frustrated with them or trying to speed it along, it'll hurt you more than help you. You know, if you want a nice look, if you want the end product to look nice, you have to be careful. You have to be slow. And in all your, everything you do, intentional. Just keep punching along. See how much nicer that, see how that falls out of there? Let's pull the camera up over here and see if that, you can see from there. Line it up on there, give her a whack. Don't have to be a hard whack. Just keep going. See those little plugs dropping out of there? That's because with every hit, it gets a little bit of wax. Now, on the hide, I buy sides, what they call sides. It's an entire side of a cow. And as I said, for this here, for hats, primarily it's vegetable tanned, not chrome tanned, vegetable tanned leather. Holds up better and so on and so forth. But anyhow, I digress. I buy sides. Now, a little anatomy on animals is the belly skin, pretty much all animals. It doesn't matter. Pretty much doesn't matter. All animals, the belly skin is thinner than the skin on the back. So, for, you know, if you got a project like this one that calls for 4 to 5 ounce leather, the 4 ounce is going to be primarily at the belly, in the belly area of the hide. The 5 ounce leather is going to be more toward, is going to be the back, and everything in between is a mix of that. So if you want a softer, or not a softer, a less stiff hat, you know, you can primarily take your leather, try to work the pieces all from the belly side of the hide, or when you go in, if you're buying pieces, you know, you can just sort through and find what you need. But if you're buying the sides, the thinner edge is going to be the belly. So you just keep plugging along. It's boring, it's monotonous, yes, but it'll be worth it when it's done. There, that piece is done. Now you see all these little plugs here that you would have had without the wax. You would have been fighting them all the way. And as they load up in there, you just would have to be beating it harder and harder and harder, because they will jam up your punches. But there, that wasn't so bad. Pain, yes, but okay, we're getting down there. Got all these parts punched out, and now working on the brim. Got the brim here and then one more part, and should be ready to be dyed. It's going to Facebook this to you, Emily, to let you see it's coming. but Facebook is down today apparently. Making little holes. Bunch of little holes. I don't know if I said this before, but the punch I'm using here is a 1mm. On the other one, on the last one I did, I used a 2mm, and this, which was fine, I think, for the black thread I was using. This thread, this red, is a little thinner, you know, so I don't want that much hole, you know. So I'm going with a smaller hole, which will make sewing it a little more difficult, but not impossible. You know, I could have gone all the way down to a 0.5mm, but I think that's too small. And then I think the 1.5mm is still too big. So we'll do it with the 1er. And as a reminder, all that red on here is candle wax. Helps expedite the passing through of these little leather plugs through the punch. Otherwise they plug up the punch and make it a real bear to punch these holes. Doobie, doobie doo. Yeah, I'm using this maple leftover countertop. Let's see what it does here. Don't do it on your wife's table or girlfriend, whatever. It's just, you know, unless you've got a some kind of a death wish. Where is? Here we are. I'm going to pick some of these out of here. Starting to jam up in here. Downside to using that wax, I mean, it helps move through, but it causes them little plugs to stick together. But clearing that out is a whole lot easier than trying to clear the hole itself out. After I get all these cut out, then the dyeing process begins. It may need to be dyed a couple of times to get the color deep into the leather. I have toyed with the idea. Now this brim, one side will be black, the other side will be red. And I thought about, you know, these bands go around this edge. I thought about doing this in red. I don't know. It might be too much. I might just dye that edging black and just leave the underside red. Now I'm going to try to show you how I thread these needles. A lot of people in leather work will do it the same way, but of course you run it through your eye. But then the tricky part comes in. Let's get over here. This particular thread, now there's a couple of different needles used in leather work. There's this one that's blunt. Okay, now some of them have the blunt tip like this here. There's other needles. I've got some down in the box or somewhere. They're called Glover's needles, which are sharpened on 3 faces. And they are very sharp. I'm not really crazy about using them myself when I'm doing these few stitches where the needles are passing through the same hole, because the needles tend to spear each other and you're messing with the thread. But anyway, that's my deal. But anyway, hard part here for me anyway, with my bad eyes, is what I'm doing there is I'm trying to unwind this thread, because I've got to, oh, there it goes again. I've got to get this, god dang it, I've got to get this thread unwound and I'm going to try to pierce the thickness of this thread with the needle, which is generally easier to do like that. Generally easier to do, obviously, with thicker thread. This thread is only 0.8 millimeter, so it's pretty thin. But anywho, that's that. And then it just pulls on itself and it knots up, or it doesn't really knot up, but it kinda locks it in. But now I'll move this camera back and show you some of these stitches. The first one, which is a little confusing, or can be, you start out by pushing your needle through there, and this one through here. Center them up, you know, and then you just pull these tight, but not real tight. Don't get crazy with them. But now I can't come back up through this one. Come back up through that one, then down through this one. You see that? And now this one will come back up through this hole. That's all done with the same needle. Now keep your edges. Did I goof up there? Alright. Then you take this needle, which is the needle that went down through that hole, and you bring it back, bring it up through this one. Let's snug those. Snug them. Only snug them. Make sure your lengths are approximately the same. Approximately. And now, keeping your threads separate, now I'm going to go down through this hole and back up through this one. Then this other needle, I'm going to take it down through this hole then back up through this one. And there you see why it's called the X stitch. Just pull her tight without getting crazy, because otherwise it'll start bunching up on you and it won't look good. And then pay attention to how you do this, and do it the same every time. See, now this first string is underneath and goes down. So now this one's going this way with the needle going across, thread going across there. This one goes first because it has to be underneath. And that's what's going to give you a more professional looking hat, is when your stitches have consistency. See, then this one gets fed back through this hole, pulled snug, and then back up through this one. See, and you're right back to where you began again. And you just keep right on going. A lot of the stitches on this hat are going to be this one, but it's going to be a combination of this one and what they call the saddle stitch. See, now this one goofed. No, this one comes back up through here. And this one comes up through here. I'll give you a look at the back side of this so you can see what it looks like. Pull it snug, keep your seam flat. You see there? And then on the back side, that's what it looks like. Then it just pulls that seam together nicely. You see that? Can you see it? Pulls that seam together really nice. And so then that's that. Now The other stitch is called a, like I say, the saddle stitch. I'm going to cut these apart. But that one's that. So there's that one. You guys will be able to go back through it and review. Like I say, you know. Now the saddle stitch is either for overlapping or for, it's basically done when you're overlapping your joints or your seams. Let me get set up here for, okay, I'm going to cheat. I'm not going to tie this off for this. But for the saddle stitch, you run your needle through. And again, you're going to be running the 2 needles, one on each end of the thread. Then, what you do with your holes lined up, you take thread and pull it through. Now you take your other needle and you push it through that last hole again, where it goes together like that. Then this one, you go up, switch your needles, and then something, always, what I always do is pull down. Pull this one up, this one down, to get consistency from stitch to stitch. Again, that's what's going to give you that more of a professional look. You know, let go of that one, pull this one down, pull this one up, and run it through. What you're doing is that needle is going like this here, in and out of the holes, all the way up. It's the difference between it and a machine sewn stitch is a machine sewn stitch will bring the stitch up. Okay, it'll bring the stitch up, then it will lay the stitch over the top, then back down into the same hole. That's basically how the machine stitches, you know, and that's a very weak stitch, to be honest with you. If either one of these stitches, either one of these strings break, your seam utterly falls apart. That's why in clothing, a lot of clothing, you'll see once a thread breaks, you know, how things just unravel, you know. But with the saddle stitch, you know, it'll go in this hole, done. Pull her down, Then now this one, this other needle, goes in, done. Then it comes back around here. You see that? And it just, like I say, it just I mean, it looks similar, you know, but they are very, very different. And the saddle stitch is much, much stronger, or much better. Then with the saddle stitch, if a thread breaks or wears through, what you can do with that is you can unthread it back a little ways, tie it off, thread the other end back a little ways, tie it off, take a new piece of thread, push it in there, and you fill it back in with another saddle stitch, but it's only a short one. And you know, and then to finish any of these off, you can just go back through a few of them, again zigzagging back and forth. And then here, I'll show you here, just again zigzag it back and through, back and forth I should say, zigzag it back and forth. And then, you know, you can, you know, if you know, yeah, if this is going to be inside or whatever, you can just snip them off a little bit, leave a little bit of a tail. I don't know where my scissors are, so anyway, you snip them off a little bit, leave a little bit of a tail. Again, leave a little bit of a tail. Then you see that? A little tail there, a little tail there. You just take a lighter and you melt them down. And that'll hold them in, that'll hold it in place. That'll hold it in place. So anyway, that's the saddle stitch. This is the X stitch. You're going to be doing a lot of them on this hat. You'll see as it goes. But I got to get to cutting and to